And I know that is really surprising to hear, because obviously you would think that as a pre-med you should be a bio major or biochemistry or cell bio or any biology related major you believe that you should be taking, but that's actually not the case.
On today's Lion Academics.
Hi, it's Amelia from Lion Academy, and today we're going to be talking about frequently asked questions for pre-med students. So we're first going to talk about pre-med requirements and majors. A lot of questions are asked within this topic of the pre-med path, but we're just going to pick a few and just talk about it. The first question is, should you take all the classes that are required for a medical school in a 4-year university? And the answer is yes. Basically, when you're in a 4-year university and you want to be a pre-med student, the university actually has a list of courses that you need to take in order to be able to apply for medical school, and it also prepares you as a pre-med student to get into medical school. These courses are mainly focused on biology and chemistry rather than computer science or physics. This actually differs per university. So some actually might include some physics or some may not. And you can easily check this in a university's website. So that is possible. And yes, you do need to finish all these courses that the university requires you to take as a pre-med. They have a certain GPA that you need to get for each class. So for example, for my school, you cannot basically get lower than a C+ on biochemistry or organic chemistry and things like that. And this can actually vary, but they just kind of have a strict limit, I guess, in terms of a certain classes GPA. And if you just basically follow that, you're basically ready for medical school. The second question is, what major should I choose as a pre-med student? This was a question I actually asked myself a lot, and I went to a lot of advisors and asked them, and the answer basically I got was, surprisingly, it doesn't matter. And I know that is really surprising to hear, because obviously you would think that as a pre-med you should be a bio major or biochemistry or cell bio or any biology related major you believe that you should be taking, but that's actually not the case. A lot of colleges actually encourage you to take a major that you want to take. They basically tell you that it does not matter whatever major you take as long as you complete the pre-med prerequisites, which are the classes that are listed for a pre-med student to finish. And as long as you do that class, you could be in any major that you want to be. The good thing about this is that you can actually take courses that you're actually interested in if you are maybe forced to be a pre-med, or if you are interested in both biology and business, you can take both. But in my opinion, being a biology major does actually help you more a little bit, because you take more biology focused courses, which means that it does help you more when you're preparing for the MCAT. That is kind of the easy way out, and it is kind of hard for students who are a different major. For example, you're a history major or a psychology major and you're still a pre-med student. That kind of slows your way. Some people might have to take an extra year of college because you have double the amount of work that you have to complete, since you have to complete all the pre-med prerequisites to be a pre-med, but you also need to complete all the prerequisites for your major to graduate your school. This is kind of what you want to choose if you're interested in biology and you want to kind of speed up your process, or if you want to be really prepared for the MCAT and medical school. I think being a biology major is the most helpful, but that is not what usually all advisors in college say. They encourage you to take the major you want to take. So that is completely up to you. So can you study abroad? This is basically one of the main questions asked to their advisors, because when you think of a pre-med student, you think that they're really busy and really focused on their pre-med curriculum, right? But the thing is, a lot of schools actually offer studying abroad for your major. So if you're a biology major, you can go study abroad for biology. And there is a setback to this. For example, if you're going to Paris or Barcelona, you do need to take a language course, but studying abroad is kind of fun in a way. You do get to explore more places, and it's a good way to kind of spend your college years, because you are still in college and you're just exploring a different country, and that is very interesting. But there is a possibility that it could slow you down a little bit because you are taking classes that you might not need. But at the same time, a lot of schools such as NYU or BU have, for my school, it's called BU Hub. These are things that you need to complete outside of pre-med curriculums. You still need to take a history class, you still need to take a writing class, you still need to have those requirements. So if I study abroad, it is completely fine, because instead of taking a history class in Boston, I could take that while studying abroad. So I could take all the classes I need to take but are not related to my major studying abroad, and they fulfill certain requirements, which is good in a way. But I do kind of agree with it slowing you down if you're already behind. For example, you switch majors or something like that before, then I do not recommend doing studying abroad if that was the case where you kind of want to finish in your 4 years. But if you're stuck with, I guess, your major and you're on track, then there's literally no problem long of studying abroad if you have everything kind of set up and planned out. So how does studying abroad work? Studying abroad is basically finishing your school's curriculum, certain classes, while just being in another country. And they have a list in your school's website probably. You can just go and search up for your major, what countries are available to study abroad in. And it is a fun experience, at least that's what I've heard. So definitely just like in a way think about it. So is research abroad done during summer? This question kind of depends on what you mean by studying abroad. To make your application look really good for medical school, it kind of has to be in America. For me, I have to sacrifice my summer to do the research because a lot of research programs, they do not want only like you doing it for 3 months or during the winter break. They want a long whole year for you to do it. And that's what medical schools also look for like a long research program that you were dedicated into. And those kind of like research program, actually, they don't want you to leave during the summer. They want you to be there and constantly be physically there and participate in the research, not taking breaks. For me, like I am abroad. I'm in America during the summer to prepare for research, and there's always a way where you can do research during your school's year, but a lot of schools and a lot of advisors actually encourage you to just stay during the winter break, or at least sacrifice one break, so winter or summer, for research to expand the whole research process as like, oh, I've done it for 6 months straight, not like, oh, I've done it for 2 months and then I had break, so I didn't do it for that. So they kind of want a long research period. So that is kind of what this question I feel like is asking. Can students switch to research while being in medical school and being in the whole medical program? The answer is yes, in a way, because you can always choose research. For example, you can choose PhD over completing the medical's program, meaning that you don't want to become a surgeon or whatever you want to specialize in. You can just back out, and it's a long process in a way because PhD programs mostly last from like 5 to 7 years because they are still doctorates, so they are still long, so you kind of have a more complicated process. And PhDs are mainly focused on research, which is what this question is asking, and so that's kind of like what it is. So on average, how many years do you study to become a doctor? This is a question that a lot of people ask. On average, you would just think, okay, so 4 years in undergraduate school, 4 years in medical school, and then you have 7 years in residency. On average, it's 7 years, and maybe some fellowship. And this means like a total of 8 years studying and then 4 years of training, or even more, since the residency can depend on whatever program you're in. So in general, it's a really long process. It's a really long time you have to sacrifice in studying and everything. So it is a big commitment. So never think of it as like something that's easy, because I had a lot of my friends who backed out from Premed during their first year because they realized how long the journey was before they even applied, which is you always have to think about how long it is actually going to take for you to be committed to this and how much you will be actually sacrificing during this time. Are students being paid during residency? So this is one of the biggest questions a lot of people ask, because some people hear, oh, you're like broke during medical school, you're broke afterwards until you become an actual doctor. But the thing is, you actually do get paid during residency. Of course, it's not as much as when you're a final doctor, but some students actually struggle because they have a low wage for salary for residency at a certain hospital. For all I know, the average is like 50K, which is not bad for residency, I guess, but you can't expect to start at like 100K during residency. That's not how it works. You will make up for all the money you're losing while you're in medical school when you become a doctor, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. But at the same time, you will be making money during residency. It's not free. It's not like you're doing it as charity work. But one thing is that considering it's long hours and long time commitment, it might be a little less than basically the amount of effort you're putting in. But it will pay off. I hope all these questions kind of answered your curiosity in terms of the Premed path and the overall Premed curriculum and your future. So I hope you take all of my answers into deep consideration when you're applying as a Premed student and when you're thinking about your whole college process. Just please take all of these into consideration. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye!